In Activity 1, Properties of Air, students explore the properties of air that make flight possible. They show that air takes up space and has weight, then learn that air is made up of molecules that move in all directions. You will need the following materials from the kit: Activity Sheet 1, Parts A and B, round balloons, balance bases, balance beams, balance pins, small paper clips, plastic beads, a plastic bottle, modeling clay, a 10-ounce plastic cup, a funnel, and a plastic jar with a lid. You will also need to provide paper towels and tap water. To prepare for Session 1, make a copy of Activity Sheet 1, Part A for each student. For each team, blow up one balloon to a diameter of about 20 centimeters. You will need a plastic bottle, a funnel, a chunk of modeling clay, and a plastic cup filled with tap water for a demonstration. Each team of 4 will need the parts of a balance, 2 round balloons, one that is inflated and one that is not, and 2 small paper clips. Teams may also need a bit of modeling clay to balance their beams. Have paper towels on hand in case of spills. To begin Session 1, ask students, what is air? Where is air found? Students may equate air with oxygen. Help them to understand that air is an invisible mixture of gases that is found all around us. Then ask, how do we know that air is all around us if we cannot see it? Students might say that they can feel it against their skin, see it rustle leaves, and hear it howl in a storm. Next, distribute a copy of Activity Sheet 1, Part A to each student. Hold the plastic bottle up for students to see. Ask students, what is in this bottle? They will probably say that the bottle is empty. Place the funnel in the bottle and seal around the neck with modeling clay. Ask, what do you think will happen if I pour water into the funnel? Students will probably guess that the water will pass through the funnel and into the bottle. Have a volunteer hold the base of the bottle while you pour water at a steady rate, so that the funnel fills up to the very top but does not drain into the bottle. Ask students, why does the water stay in the funnel? Explain that even though the bottle looked empty, water could not be added because the bottle was already filled with air. Remove the clay from the neck of the bottle and perform the demonstration again. Ask students, why did the water enter the bottle this time? Students should see that because the top of the bottle was not sealed, the water was able to push the air out as it entered the bottle and take its place. Guide students to conclude that air takes up space. Next, divide the class into teams of 4. Distribute the balance components and 2 small paper clips to each team. Instruct students to assemble the beam so that the notches at either end point up. Insert the metal pin through the hole in the center post and beam. Open 2 small paper clips into an S and hang them from the notches at the ends of the beam. The beam should be able to move freely and come to a rest parallel to the desk. Distribute 1 inflated balloon and 1 deflated balloon to each team. Have students attach a balloon to the paperclip hook at either end of the beam. Ask students, what happened to your balance? The inflated balloon should have dropped lower than the deflated balloon, indicating that it is heavier. Guide students to conclude that air has weight and have them complete their activity sheets. To conclude Session 1, collect the materials and return them to the kit. To prepare for Session 2, make a copy of Activity Sheet 1, Part B for each student. You will need a bag of beads and a plastic jar with a lid for a demonstration. To begin Session 2, hold up the plastic jar and lid and ask students, what is inside this jar? By now, they should know that the empty jar is really filled with air. Remind students that air is a mixture of different gases. Most gases are made up of particles too small to be seen, called molecules. Pour the bag of beads into the jar and screw the lid back on. Hold up the jar of beads and shake it vigorously. Explain that the molecules that make up air look something like the beads in this jar, moving around in all directions, bumping into each other. Next, ask, what do you think would happen if the lid came off while I was shaking the jar? Students will probably say that the beads will fly out of the jar and spread out all around the room. Explain that air molecules behave the same way. They spread out and fill whatever space they are in. Distribute a copy of Activity Sheet 1, Part B, and 1 or 2 beads to each student. Have students hold the beads in their cupped hands and shake their hands so that the beads bounce around. Students should feel the impact of the beads striking their palms like tiny taps. Explain that each time a bead, or a molecule, strikes a surface, it exerts a force on that surface, which is felt as pressure. Students can feel the pressure exerted by the beads on their palms because molecules that make up air have weight and are constantly in motion. They exert air pressure on the surfaces they bump into. Have students complete their activity sheets by listing 4 things they have just learned about air. Air is made up of molecules. The molecules that make up air move around at high speed in all directions. Air expands and fills the space it is in, and the molecules that make up air exert pressure on surfaces they bump into. To conclude Session 2, return the jar of beads to the kit. Save or discard the inflated balloons. For science background, reinforcement activities, curriculum connections, and information about the Delta Science Reader, please consult your DSM Teacher's Guide.